Okay, so today is July 28th, and check out our kitchen counter. We're drowning in tomatoes. This is what our counter looks like every year at the end of July, August. We just have a ton of tomatoes everywhere, which I love the abundance. I love getting to share all of these different varieties with family and friends, and freezing some, saving some, but I'll go over a little bit about each variety. So right here we have the Cherokee Purple. I had to pick this. It's not completely ripe yet because it was starting to split, as you can see right here. And we're about to get some rain, which means it'll split even further. So I went ahead and picked that, just waiting on it to ripen up a little bit, and then I'll try it out. Of course, I have had Cherokee Purple tomatoes in the past, just haven't had one yet this year. And then this one has a gnarly little spot in it, but that's fine. Just slice that off. Really nice looking tomato though. And then we have the German Johnson here, really beautiful bright pink tomato. And all of these are pretty uniform, really vibrant pink. This was my husband's favorite tomato the first year I planted it, so we'll see if he likes it this year. And then we have the Early Girl back here. These are all in different stages of ripeness. So you can see the general size are about 3 to 4 ounces. And this year we actually got one that was like twice the size of this, which I've never seen before. So yeah, it was really crazy to get an Early Girl that big. And this year they have tasted the best that they've ever tasted, and I've planted them multiple times. This year they're actually one of my favorite tasting tomatoes. And then we have the Giant Belgium. See that gorgeous tomato? So I haven't got to try one of these yet. I chose to grow this. I don't know anything about it. It looked really meaty on the seed pack. That's why I wanted to grow it. So we'll see if it's meaty when I slice it open. Maybe I'll get a video of that. But pretty nice sized tomatoes, nice looking. But we have a big giant pile in the middle right here. All of these are Dr. Witchy's tomatoes. I somehow ended up with 5 plants in the garden. Not on purpose, but we've gotten a ton of Dr. Witchy tomatoes. A lot of them are pretty nice size. There are some gnarly looking ones. So this one is huge. This is probably like, I don't know, 20 ounces, 22 ounces. But yeah, you can see all the cat facing on that. Really weird, funky tomato. And of course, you can still eat a tomato that looks like this. Just cut around it. It'll be fine. We do it all the time. This one's pretty nice. It's probably the biggest, nicest looking tomato that we've got from the Dr. Witchy's plants. I weighed this and it was 18.2 ounces. Really big tomato. And this is ready to be sliced open, so I'll get that on video as well. Have a little weird one here. All different shapes and sizes. They are a little freaky looking. Sometimes it does put me off. But, I mean, if you're growing heirloom tomatoes, you just gotta get used to the funkiness because you're gonna see it. And then we have the Brandy Boy here. So we have had a couple of these. These were pretty sweet. A good balance of sweetness and acidity, just like I like. This one's ready to be eaten. This one has some stink bug damage on it. You can see all those white spots. And from everything that I understand, tomato with stink bug damage is still completely fine to eat. It's just like an aesthetic issue. And we have this one here, and then a little tiny one. So one of my favorite tomatoes this year was the Brandywine Black. These are the 2 smallest ones we've gotten so far. But this is so good. The texture, the sweetness, the acidity, all around. I just really loved this tomato. I like darker tomatoes, like that really rich tomato flavor. And this, I just absolutely loved this year. The other ones that I've gotten were pretty good size, a little bit bigger than these. So, then we have an ananas noir here, means black pineapple in French. We haven't had any of these yet. This one has a little funky spot on it as well. A little bit of stink bug damage. You can see the striping, red and green. I grew this last year, and every single one on the plant was really weird like this. Like, they were all weird tomatoes. I didn't get a single like normal tomato from that plant, so that must just be how they grow. And then we have the big rainbow that's not so big. I think this year all of the tomatoes had to depend on me entirely for their water. We barely gotten any rain this year, so I think probably if we got a little bit more rain, they'd probably be a little bigger. But I haven't had one of these. My husband has. He said they really don't have that much flavor. So yeah, I don't know. I'll have to try it myself and see. But yeah, that is the big rainbow. So Dr. Witchy's, I forgot to say, I did try a couple of these, and I know a lot of people say that a Dr. Witchy's tomato is really low acid, and maybe it is for some people, but they actually tasted to me just like a very acidic red tomato. Like, if I was blindfolded and tasting this tomato right here, I would think it was like a red, very acidic tomatoey tomato. Very pungent tomato flavor. It was kind of tart, acidic, yeah. So I just think probably it was my growing conditions. You know, this tomato could taste totally different than this tomato, and it could also taste totally different where you are versus where I am. So you just never know, you know, especially with heirlooms, what you're gonna get. Each year is different. One year I hated these early girls. This year they were my favorite. You just never know, year to year. That's the exciting part of growing tomatoes. But also, if you find one that you really, really like, and you really like the flavor of it, you never know if you'll be able to get that same taste ever again. So that does suck a little bit. But so here are the cherry tomatoes. Okay, it's a little bit later. Today is August the 3rd, but I have a better collection here of cherry tomatoes, so I'll go through a little bit about each one. So this is a spoon tomato, very tiny, like currant sized. They have pretty tough skins. There's a lot of seeds, but I just love them. I think they're delicious. They're very tart. They're not sweet at all. Really, really like those. I've grown them a couple times. They take over the garden. There's always a ton of volunteers the next year, so if you plant them, just beware. You'll probably have a million come back. It drops a ton of those. And then we have the Dollar Tree cherry tomato, which I was pretty skeptical about. I mean, a 25-cent pack of seeds from the Dollar Tree, just don't imagine being like the most flavorful thing ever. But they were pretty good. Skins were a little tough. I thought they were sweet, just a perfect balance of sweetness and acidity, just like I like in a tomato. My husband would differ on that. He doesn't care for them. He says they don't have very much flavor. But taste is subjective. You might love them. You never know. Give them a try. And then we have the Sun Gold back there, which everybody loves. Very, very sweet. Tends to get sweeter as the season goes on and it gets hotter. Very, very sweet tomato. No acidity at all. I mean, none. Early in the season, they can be tart, but later on, like I said, they're very, very sweet. Like when August hits, end of July, August. And then we have the Isis Candy Cherry here, also very sweet, really low acid. Really like this. Skins aren't tough, and the skins aren't tough on the Sun Gold either. This is a really good orange cherry tomato as well. A lot of people actually prefer this over the Sun Gold. Really good cherry tomato. And then we have the chocolate cherry, which this year I hated, my husband hated. They were so sour. I mean, like warhead candy sour. As soon as I took a bite of it, I spit it out. It was just, I have no clue why they tasted like that. But the very first year that I planted them, they were one of my favorites. They have a really distinctive, like hard to describe flavor. Not sweet, not tart. They just have their own really strange but good flavor. The first year I planted them. This year, it's just sourness. Wasn't a big fan of that at all, so unfortunately, you never know from year to year what you're gonna get. This is a pink bumblebee, really beautiful cherry tomato. I got those seeds from Baker Creek. It's really sweet, the skins aren't tough, really just great tasting tomato, very sweet. Really like those, and my husband liked those as well. And then his favorite cherry tomato, one of his favorites, this is the blue cream berry. I don't care for it. I think if you can imagine a grape, the texture, the skin, everything, that's exactly what this tastes like to me without the sweetness. Just like a grape with no flavor. But my husband loves it. I've been growing it every year for him since I discovered it a couple years ago. And then we have the ground cherry. So this is a mixture of Aunt Molly's ground cherries and New Hanover ground cherries. The plant drops these little lanterns on the ground. You open it up and there is a berry. It's related to the tomatillo, tomato. But yeah, these are very, very sweet. They're not like the golden berries that you get in the grocery store. They don't taste like that. In a grocery store, they're like tart. They're sweet, but they're tart. These are just all sweet. And they have their own type of flavor, but not tart at all. So I always wondered before I grew these, like, are these just the golden berries that they sell at the grocery store? No. These are very, very, very sweet. Very distinctive flavor also. But they're so cool. It's like nature's little candy wrapper. So those are almost all of the varieties that we have in the garden. We still have a Sun Sugar and a Super Sweet 100 out there. Currently at the moment does not have any ripe tomatoes on the plant. So yeah, check it out. Nice harvest. So thankful for everything we've gotten so far this year. There's still a ton of tomatoes outside. I still have some tomatoes in the cell tray. I'm going to try to put one in the ground and see what happens. But we have a bunch of bell peppers, hot peppers. I even have an artichoke out there right now. So excited. So I will do a garden update in a couple days, and I'll see you then.